is an update on an earlier post. The 58 Remington cartridge conversion seemed to be a certain amount of interest in the topic, and I thought I would revisit it and we could cover some new ground. For starters, I upgraded the ejector rod from the old Remington type, which is pretty rudimentary, to the Richard Mason type, which is more commonly found on the Colt revolvers, but it's just a drop-in install. Just remove the set screw from this side, drop the loading lever, it comes right out. That's all there is to that, but it works much better. And I've also acquired a Howell's Old West conversion cylinder for my Pietta 1860 Army. This is a non-gated version. It drops in. You have to remove the cylinder from the gun to load and unload. This differs from the Kirst in several ways. Is the backing plate orients itself with this pin in that hole. Each chamber has its own firing pin, where the Kirst has a single firing pin. The Kirst orients itself with the gun with this flat piece on the plate that lines up with the frame of the gun. So this is a drop-in version, so you don't have to drill and tap the gate like you do on the Howells. The Howells is marketed under several different names, Taylor's and R&D. It's the same cylinder. You can get this in the 6-hole version. I thought the 5-hole version had a little more meat on it, so for safety reasons that appealed to me. It dropped right in the gun, worked good. I'd suggest a couple of tools for the Colt type conversions. One, since there's no ejector rod, it's nice to have a pencil in your pocket to knock out the spent cartridges. And this Thompson Center wedge tool is actually quite handy to have along for knocking out the wedge. It's another wedge tool, because you're going to have to knock the wedge out, pulling the cylinder out to load and unload every time. Not particularly practical, but none of this stuff really is. So I like loading the Kirst cartridge conversion when I can see the little safety notch coming in right there. So all you got to do is put the gun on half cock, open the gate, drop in your 5 rounds. You bring the hammer back to full cock. You let it down on that safety knot, so the gun is actually safe to carry in that position with all 5 chambers loaded. And to unload with the Richard Mason ejector rod is a snap. Put it on half cock, open the gate, just spring loaded. Okay, so we've got some smokeless cowboy loads loaded up. We plan to do a lot of shooting, so we don't want to deal with any black powder fouling. And since this 5.5 inch Pietta Remington is ready to go, we'll shoot this one first. Okay, so that's the 5.5 Pietta at 40 feet. One flyer there. You can see it's very accurate. This is my 8-inch Pietta that I've installed the Kirst 45 gated conversion in, but I have not cut the recoil shield in this gun. So we're going to have to do the Clint Eastwood Hail Rider reload on this one, which is pretty simple. And half cock, drop the loading lever, pull out the pin, roll out the cylinder, take off the back, drop in your 5 rounds, the back on, and just reinstall the cylinder. Back the pin, close up the loading lever. Now you're ready to shoot. Done some load development for these conversion revolvers, and my favorite load is a 200 grain round nose flat point bullet with a 45 Schofield case. I like the 200 grain bullet because it shoots well, it still packs a punch. I like the Schofield cases because you don't run into any overall cartridge length issues, which you could with a 45 Colt case. Plus it holds a perfect amount of black powder when you're shooting black powder with the 200 grain bullet, and plus it gives me a visual reference from my 45 Colt loads, which are different. I use a 4.54 bullet on my 45 Colt loads, and I use a 4.52 bullet on my cartridge conversion. Occasionally when you swap these cylinders out between different guns, you'll have little minor timing issues, and it generally involves the hand maybe being too long or too short. But if you install the cylinder without the backing plate, you can kind of look in there as you cock it and see how the parts relate to each other, and usually you can figure out what the issue is. This is the Howell's ungated 45 caliber Colt conversion for the 1860 Pietta Army. Even though these are 44 caliber cap and ball guns, the bore on these is perfect for the 4.52 bullet of the 45 Colt. Now to load this, you have to remove the wedge. And half cock, move the barrel, move the cylinder, drop in your rounds. Install the cylinder. Put the barrel back on. Put the wedge back in. And you're ready to go.